Hi everyone, trust you guys are doing well. Welcome back to our next lesson. As you guys can remember, we finished with the post.create right here. The next part we're going to do is we need to do our post.index. But if you guys remember, we have our post controller right here. Let's say this is our category. Let's go to our post controller. You remember we still need to do the store request, but in order for me to do the store request, I actually want to see the things that we store inside our index. So that's why we're creating our index first before the store method. The store will basically be our next lesson. Okay, so what are we going to do in this episode? We're going to do our Livewire component for post.index. We're going to create the method inside that component. Then we're going to create a PostSeeder in a UserSeeder just to fill in the database or just a couple of posts to test on. And then we're going to have a toggle button. Now the toggle button, this one, I name it the same as number 3, but because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to add this button if we have enough time for it. But we have to add, let me just do it like this. And call it number 5. So this one right here, okay, because if there is enough time, we will add a toggle button to feature the post or not. Otherwise, it will just be a checkbox. And we're going to create a Livewire component for to delete the post. Now, the reason for that is if we go to our browser quickly, let's say in our tags. Now, if we delete a tag right here, basically, it won't ask for confirmation, okay? But I don't want that to be in our post controller, in the index method, under the actions, because the user might accidentally click on that delete button, and then will delete basically their post, and I don't want that to happen for them. Okay, so it's not a good user experience. So we're going to be using more or less the same model. We're going to use this model that comes with Jetstream, that comes with a pop-up menu, and we're going to use this one just to kind of make the functionality for our post.index. Okay, so let's get started with our Livewire component. So let's create that. So go to VS Code. All right, so let's create our model. Okay, this is the store requests, so let's clear them. All right, so PHP artisan make Livewire. So this is basically our Livewire component, and we're going to call this inside a post folder, and then we're going to call it index. Okay, so let me so basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder inside Livewire called post, and then inside that we're going to create a component called index. So you can just press enter. As you can see, it created the class post.index under the folder post index, and it created the view for us right there. And we're just going to say no, and we're going to clear this, right? So we got that done. So we created our component. So if we go to resources views, we will have Livewire post.index. But I'm just going to rename this to plural. Okay, so just make it plural posts.index right here. Okay, and I'm just going to uncomment that saying right there. So inside our app, all right, so inside our app, HTTP Livewire is going to have post.index right here. But as I change the folder to posts, I'm just going to change it to post as well. All right, so now we need to link up this component in our view. All right, as you can see, let's go to resources. Okay, so if I'm going too fast, let me just recap because I think I might have gone too fast. All right, so we have in our views, we have a livewire.post. I changed it to plural post because I kind of want to keep all of them plural. Okay, then index right here. Okay, so that's the index method inside our live component. Okay, so that's our view right there. But this view, I want to link inside our Post.Index view right here. So on our index, we're going to basically have our Livewire component. So let's see what that looks like. So you can see it's this one right here. So if I change anything here, I can make it components with 4 S's. So if I refresh this, you will see it's the same component right there. So the same heading. All right, so I'm just going to link up our Livewire component. So how do we do that? Livewire.post.index. Okay, so the post folder, and inside that is the method right there. Okay, so this component right here is supposed now to change to, if you look at others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. Okay, so let's see if that is displaying for us now in this space here. All right, as you can see, our component is all hooked up and ready to go. All right, so let's go back to VS Code. So it's all set up. Okay, so our component is Gucci. All right, so we created. Now we need to create the methods inside our Livewire component. Okay, so we go to app, HTTP, Livewire, post.index. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need our pagination. So use with pagination. This is actually a trait inside Livewire. This method right here, the class right there, not a class, a trait. Okay, so now we need to create public variables. Now the first one is going to be our search. Okay, this is going to be our first public variable, and that's going to equal to an empty string for now. Okay, the next one is going to be a public, and this one is going to be our order by. Okay, so we want to order by, let's say, the ID, the title, or created at date. For now, we're just going to make the default to be the ID. Okay, then we're going to have to say if it's order ascending or descending. Okay, so we're going to, and this one is going to be the default is just going to be true. Let's just set it to true. Okay, the next one is going to be the pagination. So we're just going to do public. How many per page do we want? And okay, how many per page? We're going to set the default be to 10. Okay, so that's an empty string. Let me just do this. Nah. Okay, let's keep it like that. All right, the search empty string and ID, the true and per page. Okay, now you remember what we did in the post. Basically, we pass our variable to our view. Now in this case, we're going to pass our post variable to our view. Okay, then we obviously need to make sure we import the models post up there. Now we're just going to create a static method inside our post called searchPost. Okay, and it's going to use this search. Okay, it's going to use this search right here. Okay, the next thing is we're going to do is we're going to order it by. Okay, we're going to order by this dot order by. Okay, basically this one right here, we're going to order it by the ID. Now how are we going to do that? We're going to do it with this dot ascending. Okay, let's do this dot order ascending, and if it's true, do the ascending. If it's not, then do the descending, DASC. Okay, and then we're just going to say paginate. Okay, paginate this dot per page. Okay. All right, let me just check, make sure I got everything there. We got our post. All right, just make sure your post is imported, otherwise you'll get an error. We haven't created that static method yet for our post. All right, then we're going to use this search and order by this order by. Just make sure the spelling, this dot order by, if it's true, then use ascending. If not, use descending. And descending per page, we're going to use default per 10. All right, so let's create this search post method inside our post model. So right here, underneath, we need to create a static method. Okay, so public static function. Okay, so this is going to be a static function. Okay, now inside here, we need to create it search post. Okay, we're going to accept the parameters of the search. Okay, then we're going to, inside here, we're going to return. You remember, if we set that to empty string, okay, so if it's empty, if the search is basically empty, so we're going to do another ternary operator right here. So if the search is empty, return the static query. Okay, if it's not empty, then we return a static, because basically it means then someone else is basically typing in the query. Now the query where, okay, where the ID is like our search. Now basically this is just the parameters inside our search. Just going to concatenate the search. All right, or where, okay, so what we're doing, or where, okay, or where the title is equal to the, or the title is like our query. Basically our query is basically our search right there. Okay, or where basically the body. You just copy this down, just change this to body. Just make sure of the spelling, everything is Gucci. All right, so basically what we're doing now is we're going to run the static method, and it's going to return. If that search is empty, then just return a static query. If it's not empty, then return where the ID is like our search, or where the title is like our search, or where the body is like our search. Okay, so we're not going to have any security issues because the where is basically escaping it already. So that is good stuff. All right, so let's go back to our index. So if we can see, we're returning that static method right there. Okay, so now we need to do is we need to obviously populate our index view right here. Okay, so we need to basically fill in the correct data, so, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to need two things in here. Let's just open your dashboard, category.index. Okay, so this right here. We're going to copy this top part right here. Just copy that. And inside your Livewire, we're just going to paste it in here. And we're obviously going to need two closing divs. I'm just going to copy it twice. So we obviously just like this. Okay, we copy that over there. And then inside our categories.index, just copy the table as well. That table right there. Just copy that and paste it in here. All right, we're obviously going to change this to the post, but for now, let's just close it off. And I'm just going to rename this to table. And then we create another div on top. Now this div is basically going to be our main heading, where the search box is going to be, the order by, and the ascending or descending, and per page. Okay, so I'm just going to call this main heading, just like this. Right, so this is obviously our table and our main heading right there. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We're going to add a styling on top of this called flex. So class flex, and we want the width that's full because I want it to span across the whole document. And just give it some padding for now, padding 3. Actually, yeah, let's do it like that. And we're just going to do space x2 and not the SN15 that landed so nicely. I was quite excited with the SpaceX, Elon Musk's Starship that landed perfectly well. Just enjoy that. Just as a side note, I'm quite a big fan. Right, the next one is we're going to create a div with a class of 3/6, like that. Why did it go to the next one? Okay, let's just create the div quickly. Right, so this is basically our search box, and let's just add the class. Then we're going to add width. Okay, so the width like this. And then we're going to add a span. Now the thing is, we're going to add an SVG with the search icon right there. But now the thing is, you can leave it as just the SVG, but I don't like to style my SVG because it's get very messy. But let's quickly get a search icon and I'll explain to you. Let's go to our browser. Okay, and we're just going to look for hero icons. Okay. Now we're just going to type in search. Okay, as you can see, just make it bigger. We can just copy this one right here. So I just copy this. Let's go back to our VS Code again. And we just paste it in here. Now, as you can see, the reason why I'm saying, because if you add another class, you see the class right there, because we're going to need some styling, some extra styling right here. Now, this might get too messy for me, so I'm just going to put it inside a span tag, and I'm just going to add the styling right here. Okay, so you can obviously just leave it with the SVG, or you can put the span. Okay, because the span element is inline, so it's all good. All right, and you will see why. I'm just going to speed up the video, and you guys can obviously just copy the classes for yourself. All right, so we got our styling classes right there. Now, as you can see, we got our span. Now, can you see how many classes is there? You can obviously copy these classes and just put them in here. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it as the span right here. Okay, so this is basically our SVG. Position of absolute, item center, justify center, width of so much, height of full, some padding, Y and padding left, and end. Okay, so you guys can just pause the video and just copy them, the text in your text editor as well. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an input field. Okay, and then we can just call it wire model. Now, this is basically binding our search functionality from our Livewire component to here. Okay, so that variable, let me just go to the index. See, this variable right here is what we're referring to right here. Okay, so the Y model right there. Then I'm going to add a debounce method, and the debounce is going to be 300 milliseconds. Basically, what this does is, if I don't add it there, so every keystroke the user puts in is basically going to do a request every time to the server, but I don't want to do that. Is basically a lot of requests to the server. I'm just going to do it in 300 milliseconds. So after 300 milliseconds, I'm only going to do the request to the server. Okay. And then I'm actually just going to link, obviously, the search right there. Okay. So we got that. Now I'm going to speed up the video again for our class, because there's quite a lot of classes that I have to fill in here. And the next one is going to be the placeholder. Now the placeholder is just going to equal to search post. All right. So I'm just going to speed up the video for this one. Okay, so that's all done. So you guys can obviously just pause it right here. So we got our Y model that we binded to it. We got our type of text. We got our class. relative, and all that kind of stuff. So just pause the video and just copy them in for yourself, okay? Let me just do like this. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to obviously add now our order by. Okay, so let's create another div. But this div is going to have a class of relative. Okay, so let me just create a comment. This is going to be the order by. Okay, and this one is just going to be a width of 1/6. And we're going to have a select model. Okay, the name is not going to be a value for us now. We're just going to do the name of wire model. Okay, and that is going to equal to the order by right there. Okay, cool stuff. I'm just going to delete this too because let me just keep the ID. We can remove the name. And obviously I'm going to add some classes to it and just pause the video for yourself. Okay. And okay, so I've added that. You can just pause it because basically what it does is relative and just some extra styling right there. Just some Tailwind classes. Otherwise the video will get too long. Way too long. And we don't get to everything that I want to get into this lesson. Right. The next thing that we're going to have is obviously our options. Okay, our option, the first one is going to be the ID. What we want to order it by is the ID, and then we're just going to add the ID right there, copy it down twice. And this one is going to be the title. And this one is going to be the created at. Okay. Okay, created at date, put it in here. Okay, like this. Right, so we got our select. Now the thing is, what's nice now, we can just copy and paste this down twice. 1, 2. Okay, because the other field's also going to use the select. Okay, so let me just pause the video right here and just copy all the information right there. Okay, the next one is going to be the order ascending, ASC. And we're only going to have 2 values inside this one. We're only going to have the ASC and just type it like this, ASC and DSC. Right, this is going to be values of true or false. The ASC is true, is 1, false is 0. Easy peasy stuff. Okay, this order ascending. The next one is going to be obviously per page. Per page. Now we're going to have 3 fields in here. Okay, 4. Let's make it 4. Let's just copy this one down. This one is going to be 10. And then we have this one is 25. This one is 50. And the last one is 100. Like this. All right, we obviously have to change the values in here. Let's keep it at 10. Or we can just leave actually the values out, but just bear with me. Okay, we're just going to do 25, 50. So I might delete this actually later. 100. Let's hopefully it works. All right, now under that we obviously have our table. Okay, so we got our 4 main headings, so search box, our order by, order descending, per page, and we got our table now. Okay, what we're going to need is we need a title. Okay, this is our main heading, so that our table heading, our title, and this is going to be a category. Now the category under which the post is add, and I'm just going to create another field here called featured. Okay, updated, created, and actions. So I'm just going to change this to post. Remember, this is the post variable that is coming from the index, this post one right here. Okay, as post. Okay, so we got our post ID. Okay, then we have our post.title, but I'm going to use a string right here. So sometimes some screens are a bit smaller. So what I'm doing is I do the str limit. Okay, and I'm just going to use the post title. Okay, so if I'm just going to limit to 40 characters, and if it's like that, then I'm just going to add the ... notation if it's more than 40. Okay, cool stuff. So that, and I'm just going to copy this one down and delete this one right here, and change this to the category.name, post.category.name, like this. Okay, then we obviously have our post, so I'm just going to do this. We're going to have our post created and updated dates. Okay, so we have category.name. Just copy this down. We need the featured post featured function as well. Let me just copy it down. Just going to call it featured for now. Just for now. Okay, because I'm still going to decide if we have enough time to do that button as well. Okay. All right, then we're going to change this to posts.edit, and we're just going to copy this down and just say post. All right, this is going to be a Livewire button, but for now we're going to leave it as is. We're going to get to that in a second. So let's see if everything is working. Okay, so as you guys can see, we got it right here. We got our search, got our ID, everything. I think I might just make it a little bit darker. So if we click on it, let it indigo just stands it out a little bit more. Okay, let's do that. All right, so we're looking for the focus. Let's see where the focus are. Inside here, focus. Yeah, this one right here. BG. Just going to copy all of them and just highlight basically all of them. And I'm going to change this to just 100. So let's see how it looks like now. Just a styling preference. Let me just refresh it. So as you can see, it's just more prominent now, so I can see it. Okay, cool. Let me just delete that. Okay, I don't like this background at the back. I'm going to delete this as well. So there's just this part right here. Okay, let's do that. So let's see. What is this? This is basically the padding on the line. Okay, so we're going to remove that padding, and it will actually just move up to the ends. Okay, so it's this PX. I'm just going to remove it. Okay, so that's enough, I think. I hope. Okay, so then it moves it just out to the ends right there. That looks a little bit better. Just styling preference. Okay, so if I click there, okay, so we got all of that sorted. Okay, so now we need to obviously populate our database. And for that, we need to create our PostSeeder and our UserSeeder. Okay, so we obviously need to log in again because it's going to refresh the database for us, but don't worry about that. I will show you guys how it's done. Okay, so inside here, we've got everything all hooked up. So next part is we're going to create a PostSeeder and a UserSeeder. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to do PHP artisan make seed. Actually, we need to create a factory as well. So let's create the factories first, the factory for the post. So factory, and we're going to call it the post factory. Okay. All right, so that's done. So PHP artisan make seed. Just going to call it PostSeeder. And PHP artisan make seed, and we're just going to call it the UserSeeder, just like that. Right, so we created three. We got a post factory, PostSeeder, and our UserSeeder. Okay, so let's go where this is under your database factory. So we got our post factory right here, and then we under the seeders we got our PostSeeder and our UserSeeder. Okay, so let's just change our post factory quickly. Right, inside it we're going to need a couple of things. Okay, the first thing is we need our cover image in our post factory. So let's do that. So cover, this is basically our image. Okay, so our cover image, that will be equal to, basically, we're going to use Faker for this. Faker and image URL, and we're just going to add a width of 800 and a height. As you can see, it kind of shows you everything right there. So a height of 600, I think. It's just an example. Okay, let's do that. The next one is we're going to add the title for our post. Okay, the title will be this Faker sentence. Okay. And the next one is going to be our slug. Okay. And that is going to be equal to string str. Just remember to import it as well at the top. I will show you now. Slug.this.sentence. This.faker sentence. We can actually use the faker slug, but I'm just going to do it like this. And let's just import this at the top. Just remember, otherwise you're going to get an error. Okay, so we're just going to, let me just remove that stringable. Okay, so if you don't use any classes, just remove them from your, if you don't use any of the methods or the, I can't get to the word right now, but if your class is not imported at the top, if let's say it's imported but you don't use them actually inside your methods, just remove them. Okay, just unnecessary things right there. Okay, the next one that we're going to do is we obviously, just do this. Okay. Next one is we got our slug, and then we obviously have our body. Body is going to equal to this dot paragraphs. I think. Yeah, this dot faker. Let's create a couple of paragraphs. And let's say 6. I hope that works. The next one is going to be the category ID. And we're just going to equal it to 1. Just 1 for now. And then we're going to add obviously the author ID. If you guys change it to user ID, just remember just to add user ID here as well. Okay. And I'm just going to keep it at 1 as well. And then we're going to have the published featured. I'm just going to equal that to 0, to true. Yeah, let's equal it to true. No, to false. We're going to feature it ourselves. Let's make it 0. Next one that we're going to need is the published add date. You remember if we choose the calendar, and this is basically this part right here, the published add, and I'm just going to use the carbon now, the method right there. Okay, and I'm going to just copy it down, and it's going to be the created and the updated dates. Okay, so we got all of them here. Cover image, title, slug, body, category ID, author ID, featured, published ad, created ad, and updated date. So we got all of them in here. Okay, cool stuff. The next thing that we're going to need is we need to obviously call that from our PostSeeder as well. So let's call that factory. So in our seeder, in here, we're just going to do app, full name path, modals, and a post, and a factory, and we're just going to call 10 of them, and we're just going to create it, the create method on it. Okay, so then we can close it off. Right, the next one that we're going to do is we're going to create a user. Okay, the UserSeeder table right here. Now with the UserSeeder, we're obviously going to create it from the factory. Because if we look at our factories right here, we got by default, we already got a factory right here. Okay, so we're just going to use all of this information, but let me show you how. We're going to create a default user basically. All right, so user.factory. Let's just import this user as well. Just remember to import it at the top right there. Okay, user factory. Okay, dot create. We call the create method on it. So we could have done the same thing right here. Instead of it like this, we can close it like this and actually just import the model right there. Okay, just like that, easy peasy stuff. Right, but there, instead of importing right there, you actually put the full namespace actually in there. Okay, but anyway, let's carry on. Now in here, we're gonna create the name. The name is going to be equal there to John Doe, something very original. Email is going to be John at example.com. Failed expand abbreviation. Okay, no problemo. And then we're going to put in the password, and we're going to use bcrypt to actually deal with our password. So let me just do it like this. Bcrypt. Okay, and we're just going to put in a password called password. So if every time we refresh a database, instead of actually creating a new user again, it actually just fills in this part right here. So that's all we need for this one. Okay, so we're going to create that. Then obviously in our database seeder right here, we actually have to call the database seeder, those seeders. Okay, but then we need to create them obviously. As you can see inside our factory right here, we're calling the author ID. Okay, so it means the author ID have to be created first. And as you can see, this one is called the category ID. So it means the categories, we need to create one for the categories as well. Because it's actually, this post is going to look for category ID. So we need to create a category as well. Okay, so let's quickly create those. I'm just going to create one. I'm not even going to create a factory. I'm just going to use, I'm just going to create a seeder because you see this is linking to a category ID. So let's quickly create that as well. So PHP artisan make seed categories, this category seeder. All right, I'm just going to add one category in that seeder. Obviously, you can create as many as you want. Okay, so we got our category seeder right here. Okay, so let's quickly add that. All right, so we're going to use the DB table. Okay, and it's going to go into the categories table. Okay, and then we're going to insert. Okay, we're going to insert an open and closing array. Inside this array, we're actually going to create another array of the name. So every item that you want to put in, you can actually just name them here. I'm just going to call this holidays because it's the only one that I want to add. And the slug will basically be small holidays like this. And then obviously we have the created and updated dates. Created, add. I'm going to use carbon for this. We can call it now like this. Okay. And we're going to do the same for the updated. All right, just remember we have to import the facade DB on top as well. Otherwise, we're going to get an error. Okay. So as you can see, it's imported right there at the top. All right, so if you want to add more categories, we can just, let's create one more. Just to show you guys. So holidays, and this one, if I can spell, man. Holy, like this. And this one is just going to be camping. just as an example. You can do whatever you guys want, but I just wanted to show you if you can want to create more than one. Right, so in here we can actually call that seeders in our database, because when we run the seeder, this is the one that the seeder is actually going to call, and it's going to run all the methods inside here. Okay, so let's do that. So in our database, we're just going to do this dot call. Okay, with what we're going to call first, I'm going to call the category seeder first. So seeder class. Okay, so that's the first one. And then after that, we need the users. Okay, so the UserSeeder. And after that, we're going to run the post, because the post is going to require the IDs from these two fields. Okay, call. Right, so this one is going to be the post. No. Post seeder class. Alright, so that's all done-ish. Okay, so we got it all in there. So let's run our migration and hopefully everything works. Because normally you will get an error or something like that. PHP artisan migrate. Now, in order to drop all the tables in your database and start afresh, you do the fresh command like this. Then you just put -seed. So basically what this does is drop all the tables in the database and repopulate them. And then the seed actually just call the database seeder right there. So if you press enter, hopefully no errors. Okay, so everything is done. So it actually populate everything right there. So let's go to our post table, but we have to sign in obviously. So we received no errors because remember it actually deleted the user and created a new user for us. So with that we need to sign in. The john@example.com, and we just created the one for password. So let's log in. Don't save. Undefined variable category. Let's see. Where is that? Oh, this one right here. We obviously have to change that in our Post.Index. So let's go quickly to our view. And the view right here. So let's close this Post.Index. So let's close everything up. No, we don't need to close that. So post, resources, views, Livewire, Post.Index. So we still have obviously the categories underneath here. As you can see, we need to change these to be the posts. Okay, so this must be post.index and edit. We're obviously going to change this in a sec to just do this post. Okay, so what we're going to do, this part right here, this button, this form right here, we will actually change to a Livewire component. Okay, but I will show you in a sec. Let's go to our browser, refresh. Hopefully it works now. Hey, everything is working. Okay, so we got our title, category. So something is not right because it's not moving up there. So what's wrong? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fields. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields. Something is off. Okay, so let's quickly see what it is. We obviously haven't put this field right here. Let's just copy it down. And we're just going to do this featured. Like this, just this, because we're still going to decide if we want to add the button. Okay, all right, so now it's full width right here. So everything, so this is basically the featured, because this is just the wording that comes in. So if we want to search by title, okay, as you can see, it searches by the title from B, D, E, O, obviously in alphabetical order, created at date. Obviously all of them are the same. The ID is fine. Descending, right, column not found, 0 in order clause. Let's see what is happening. Post order by 0 as limit. Okay, let's see what is happening here. So it's obviously in this part right here. Let's order by Let's just change this to ASC and this to DSC, like this. Let's see if it works now. There's a simple mistake. If you guys remember, I copied it down, but I haven't actually changed it, or somehow I Control Z. So just change your wire models to order ascending, and this one is obviously going to be, what is this one? Per page. Okay, so let me just change this to per page. All right, so let's see if it works now. Okay, so if we go to ascending, it's 1 to 10. When we go to descending, it's 10 to 1. All right. And then if we add 50, okay, we obviously don't have more than 50, only created 10. So all is good. Now the thing is, what I want to do is I actually want to change this to so that the pagination also shows right there. Okay, so let's do that. So right underneath this, we're just going to create a table, another div, just under the table actually. Just create another div, and we're just going to do the post links, okay? Just right here. Okay, so we're just going to do it. Post links. And I'm just going to add a class, padding top, padding of 2, and BG Indigo 300, I think. Right, I'm just going to add, let's say, right now I only added in our post. If we go to our PostSeeder, I'm just going to create more. So right now I created only 10. I think I'm just going to create 50, just as an example, so that we can actually see the actual the pagination as well. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to run this and sign in so that you guys don't have to see all of that. Okay, so we have done that. So we got our, let's search by the title. As you can see, we got our 34 and from A to that, and we can just change it to descending from, so very, very neat. And we can actually set it to 25 instead of 10, and you can see 1 of 25, and we actually got our pagination at the bottom right there. And we can change it to 10, as you can see, 1 out of 10 of 50. Very, very, very cool. And we can actually search for something. Let's search Q. Okay, something like this, and only the ones with the value of that Q comes in. Let's say Sunt. All right. Yep. Only 14 results come with the Sunt in. Right. So that's cool. So we have done our database. So now the next part is, let's refresh this. We got our 1 to 50. So everything works perfectly as expected. Or let me put it like this, as hoped for. Now we just need to add that button. We need to make it, if you click it, you can actually get the Livewire component to say, like, are you sure you want to delete it and stuff like that. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm just going to clear this. All right, so we're going to make PHP artisan, make Livewire, and I'm just going to call it buttons, a folder called buttons, and inside that Livewire, I'm just going to call it add. Now let's just make it, let's just call it components, and I'm just going to call it button like this. No, let's actually make it like this, button, sorry, button, and just delete. Okay, button, and then just delete. Don't know what to call it. Okay, so buttons, delete. Okay, so basically what we have now is we've got a class called buttons, and inside that it's got delete, and we also got our Livewire buttons delete right here. Okay, so inside our index view right here is actually where I'm going to link that component. So let's do it under the form, because obviously you're going to delete this form right here. Okay, but I want those classes for that, so I'm just going to call it Livewire buttons, and I'm going to do that. No, buttons delete. Okay, so we got that in there. I'm just going to copy the form just as a way to show you that we can still have the form. So just do it like this. You paste the form in there because I want it dynamically to delete it from the database. Okay, so we have to obviously pass in the post as well. So I'm just going to put the post, and we have to add the key as well. And this is going to be, this is just going to be the post ID. So fingers crossed. Let's see if our button shows right here. Refresh undefined variable post. Okay. Actually, I'm thinking of a blade component right here, but I think I might need this. Let me just do it like this. Let's leave it. Let's leave it for now. I'm thinking of blade components right now. That's how you pass a variable, but let's leave it as it is for now. But we need to go to our class quickly and actually declare that variable, Livewire post, no, the buttons.delete right here. So we actually need to public post. Okay. And we can actually call it a string post. Yeah. Okay. And the next one that we can need in this is we need quite a lot of methods in here. Right, so we're going to do public string. Let me just, and this is going to be a public boolean. Okay, it's going to be a boolean and confirm post deletion. Yeah. Confirm post deletion. Okay, and we're going to set that to default value or false. Okay, and then inside here we're going to actually have a public function. Function confirm post deletion. So there's obviously, if there's any easier ways, you guys must just let me know, or if you find a better way, but this is the one that works for me right now. Reset error bag. Okay, we're going to do the reset the error bag, and then we're going to this dot dispatch browser event. Now we're going to just say the event that we're going to say is confirming delete post. You guys see in a second what this is all about. We're just sending an event to the browser. Okay. And then we can just say this dot confirm post deletion, and we're going to set that equal to true. Okay. Now we're going to actually deal with the delete the post. Okay. So public function delete the post. Okay, now file. Okay, so we obviously have to import at the top. And let's import it at the top. It's going to be the facades. Just, okay, file delete. Let me just file delete. Let me just import it. The eliminate support facades file. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to use. Now this is going to be in public path, and inside the public path, it's not like this. Public path, it's the one. It's a method, and inside that it's just going to be, we're going to create a folder called image. Inside the image is going to be a folder called block, and then we're obviously going to concatenate this dot post dot cover image. Just remember we have to delete the cover image as well. Otherwise, the image will actually stay on the database, and this is not what we're looking for. Okay, so we're going to delete that, and then we're going to do this dot post, and then we're going to delete the post. Okay. And then we delete the post, and then we okay, just giving me, I don't just remove the string and a boolean from there, but I don't know why it's giving me an error right now. My head cannot think. The video's been long. And talking and coding at the same time is not fun business, because normally we like to keep quiet when we code. Okay, redirect. Okay, we're going to redirect to the route Post.Index. Okay, with the message, okay, of success, and then we can just say post deleted. Okay. Just like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me just, don't forget my semicolons. Right, so inside this is basically going to delete that path of the image. Okay, so image.post.cover, obviously the image, because this is just referring to that cover image. We need to delete that, otherwise it stays. And then we delete the post, and then we obviously render our button right here. Our model is actually going to be in here. Okay, so let's quickly create this. Now the video is almost an hour. Okay, so I'm just gonna, let me just explain everything. So let's go. Well, we're gonna create a div, but we're actually gonna delete the form. Let's delete the form. I'm gonna need the SVG. Okay, so let's create a div. Okay. Let's give it a class of bg red 200, some padding of 2. Okay. I need to do this. Okay, bg red 200, padding of 2. I'm just actually running and trying to get this quickly done. Right, and we're going to create, inside there is going to create a link. All right, now the link is going to have a couple of wire classes. Okay, so wire methods. So the first one is going to be a wire click. So we're going to listen for the click event. Then we're going to do the confirm post deletion. Okay, you see right there is because we're referring actually to this confirming post deletion. Okay, so in that, then we're going to do, just create another like this. Actually, it's going to style on its own, but don't worry. It's going to actually, I just want you guys to see everything neat. And once I save it, it will actually just move everything up. So wire loading attribute, we're going to be disabling this. Okay, so wire loading, we're going to disable it. Okay, the next part, move this in. The next part that we're going to do is we're going to have a class. It just add a pointer. Pointer, because of pointer. Okay, then it moves it up. This the class, and then obviously inside this we're going to add a SVG. Now the SVG is obviously going to be the delete one right here, so we just copy this one and move it in here. Okay, so I save that, and let me just think. We don't need the href. This. Okay, what else do we need? Okay, now we need to do that xjet dialog model. So let's just go underneath all of that a tag. I'm just going to add the xjet model dialog model. Okay, just do it like this, but actually we only don't need it, the closing one. No, I think we do. Let's just leave it like this. I'm actually just rushing at the moment, but you know what? I'm just going to relax. If the video is long, it's fine. Okay. So execute modal, that will be wire modal, and that will equal to confirming post deletion. Okay. So that's our model, and then inside that we're just going to use the X slot. Okay, the X slot, and then we're going to just change the title. Oh, okay, this is name equals the title, and this is going to be the delete post. Hopefully everything works. And then the slot content, I will show you guys now where this comes from. Slot. Okay, and just put in the name and the content, and then we're just going to put in here are you sure you want to delete this post? Okay, so that's basically what we're going to ask the user. Are you sure you want to delete this post? And then under the footer, X slot, and this is basically going to be a name or footer. Okay, the footer is basically going to have two buttons. So you see, I'm trying to use everything that comes with Jetstream. Secondary button. Okay, so we're going to have that secondary button that comes with it. And then we're just going to add a wire click event on this one. And this equals to toggle. Toggle confirmation. Confirming post deletion. We're going to see in a second if everything is working. Okay, and then on that, we're just going to add a wire loading attribute. Then we set it to disable. Okay, so loading dot attribute, set it to disabled. Okay, and then inside here, we're just going to say never mind. Okay, so that is the never mind button. So let's say they will say like, listen, I made a mistake. I actually don't want to delete the post. They can do that. And if they want to delete it, they can just press this one called delete post. Now this is going to be the danger button. Change it to danger. Okay, this is actually going to, instead of toggling that, we're actually going to say this one is going to delete the post. Okay, so that is going to be that. So we got everything. All right, now this dialog model, let me show you where everything is. Under your vendor resources views, so when we publish the vendor folder, okay, under the components, you'll see we got a danger button right here. We got the danger button, and this is the danger button right here. Okay, then we have a secondary button, which is let's go to as. You will see we got our secondary button right here. Then we got our dialog model. You can see that we've got our dialog model right here. Okay, so everything is basically in there. So if we click the dialog model, you will see it's got a title and it's got a content and it's got the footer. And this is basically the slots inside. You see the title, content, and the footer. It's basically our slots right there. Right, so let's see how it looks like, and hopefully no errors. Refresh. Okay, never mind. Okay, it's already automatically clicking it. So basically, this is the model that's supposed to pop up for you. Are you sure you want to delete this post? And we just say, never mind. Now, obviously, it's doing that automatically, and I don't want that to happen. Right, so the method is confirm post deletion. Okay, so that's basically what we have to change in this. So confirm post deletion, that's right. Confirming, I need to, don't know why I put confirming in there. Okay, disabled. Okay, let's see it works. Okay, so what I've done is I removed the form from the top. Okay, so we got a wire click event, confirm post deletion. This event right here, the confirm post deletion right here, is referring to this method right here. Okay, and then we have the disabled, then we got our SVG, then we have our modal, like I explained. Now this needs to be confirming the post deletion, which is this right here, that we're going to set to false or true. Okay, and then we obviously added our buttons right there. So hopefully everything works now. Let's go to our browser, refresh. Right, as you can see, we got our button right here. Okay, so if we try and delete a post, delete, we'll see, are you sure you want to delete this post? We deleted. Now Post.Index notify. Oh, yeah, I need to actually change it to Posts.Index. Right, another thing that I've done is in our delete, I've just, obviously this needs to be cover image. Okay, and I added the session flash variable, so post successfully deleted, and this just needs to be Post.Index. Okay, so we created this, removed the boolean and the string, confirm deletion, so let's set the error back, delete the post, obviously file, and yes, let's see if it works now. Refresh. It's post successfully deleted. Let's try another one, the top one, number one. Delete, delete, post successfully deleted. All right, so as you can see, the one position is gone. The broad thing disappears. Okay, as you can see, we don't have time. We don't have time for the toggle button. Right. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the positive feedbacks, the likes and things like that that you have shown to the channel. And yes, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you don't like it. Positive or negative feedback is always appreciated. Some constructive negative feedback, I might add. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one where we can create the store method inside our post, so we can actually create the post and it can actually come to our window right here. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.